HeadLab is a materials incubator in a lot of ways. We combine play, as you can see, with design research, and the fields that we're interested in span from architecture, which is our background, to product design and especially illumination, how materials and light interact.
Yeah, I think the way we talked about it, we often talk about it is kind of divergent research and convergent research. So divergent research is when we're just looking for potential and possibilities in a general direction. And that led a lot of things looking from structural honeycomb to lighting with honeycomb, and allows for those kinds of jumps. And convergent research is more how we got into going from polypropylene to PEI, because we were very interested in fire safety and flame retardant properties. And so this is an aerospace material that is extremely light and extremely expensive. It's used in honeycomb panels in airplanes and space shuttles. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the development of a material called FlexiComb, which is a single-sided flexible honeycomb made out of polypropylene tubes, is the way it started. And it really started with the question of how do you get a satellite surface in a honeycomb.
There's a lot of opportunities with straws, and it still started out as literally drinking straws that were fused together and backlighting them, and in a pretty simple way, making luminaires, hanging lights. So one way to bring color to FlexiComb is through colored light, and another way is through coloring the tubes, coloring the materials themselves. And this is a piece that was from a project we did for O'Neill, and O'Neill's designers approached us. They're doing a new O'Neill flagship store near Anaheim, and they wanted lighting that resembled kind of sea urchins or sea creatures, anemones. And there was something that was perfect to be a little bit more playful with color. Until then, we'd mostly been sticking with white and clear, these very tame architectural colors. And it was really fun. We're in Southern California, there's tons of boba straws all over the place, so we had a wide color palette. We went to all of the different like Asian superstores. There's Laxey's, our closest store down the street, and got, probably thought we were crazy, we were buying tons of boba straws, and then started using these different color straws as pixels or as a color palette to experiment with different gradients and to get the abstracted sea anemone feeling. And you can check them out there hanging in the O'Neill store.
One of the further developments of looking into asking a question about FlexiComb was if it was going to become an interactive material, what would the best interaction be for the material? And an obvious choice is something that as you bend the material, it responds to you. And so very, very simply, we started looking at some just passing light through the material itself, and looking at kind of putting in a bend sensor on the back of the material. So as you bend it, it registers kind of how bent the material is. And then in collaboration with Phil Van Allen from the media design department, I worked on kind of embedding music and sound as well as light and color into the FlexiComb. So as you bend the material, it starts to change in color and in brightness and in sound. So this is a few vocal tracks or sound tracks that get mixed together as you bend different areas within the FlexiComb. And then there's a twisting that kind of adds in one last track and a little bit of purple into the material. So kind of the material comes to life as it's bent in a way, and then it kind of softens and quiets down as it lays to rest on the table.
questions you ask. We've talked about this, that it's sort of asking the what if, or where, you know, where do you go from trapping bubbles inside, air bubbles inside glass and patterns, or what's the possibilities for extending like the geometry of honeycomb. And then there's how do you make this honeycomb
Stronger,
stronger
lighter.
and feasible in a large scale architectural application.